Hello from Clio Cloud Conference 2018 in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm Jason Tashea of the ABA Journal.
Hi, this is Billie Tarascio.
And we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us on the road. It's a pleasure to be here in the Big Easy. And today we're talking about building a modern law firm. But before we get started, we'd like to thank our longtime sponsor, Clio, whose conference is being featured in the series of episodes. If you like what you're hearing, why not check out their conference for real, along with 1,500 other legal professionals at next year's 2019 Clio Cloud Conference. For more information, visit cliocloudconference.com. That's C-L-I-O cloudconference.com. And now, let's get to it. So first, Billie, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a family law attorney in Phoenix, Arizona. I own Modern Law, which is a family law firm, one of the fastest growing firms in the country. I also own Access Legal, which is a legal doc prep company, a legal technology company. And then Modern Law Practice, which is all about building law firm infrastructure for other lawyers.
So you've got a lot going on, but you just gave a talk a little bit ago here at the conference. Let's focus a little bit on what you were telling the folks that were here.
Sure. So we were talking about how to actually run a law firm. What is a business model that will work? And we talked about how you need to figure out who you are before you do anything else. And once you do that, you can really figure out who to hire. And that becomes your messaging for marketing. And it's really the core of what you need. We talked a lot about management systems, meetings, transparency, and using data to get everyone on the same page and to motivate people to perform for you.
And so who's your primary audience for this conversation?
Lawyers and law firm owners.
Any size firm? Any style of practice?
I think so, because the way that I have approached building my law firm model is not by looking at other larger law firms. It's by looking at best practices for business, best practices for how to manage people way outside of the legal industry. So I don't think it matters what size firm we're talking about. Every single law firm should probably be using best practices in hiring and in management and in finance and in financial modeling.
So I think a lot of people get overwhelmed when they start hearing terms like process management, when technology gets thrown into the mix about how it should be applied in their law firm. Before we got started, you were giving me an extended food metaphor about the process to dig deeper into these issues. Can you share that with us?
Yes. So I think that the technology piece is sexy and sparkly and fun, and people want to sell us technology. But I was talking about how building a law firm is like building a pizza, and the crust is where you must start, and that's your vision, values, and culture. It's drafting a constitution that lets everyone know what your law firm is about and how it's different from every other law firm, and that's the first step. After that, then you get sauce, which is hiring the right people, and you know you have the right people because you wrote your constitution. And then you get clients, which is cheese, and then after that is when you really should be focusing on implementing technology and data and automation.
So there's a lot of steps there. I'm curious to how you think about the opportunity cost of each one of these layers that you just discussed.
I love that you mentioned that, because that's exactly why it's in the order it's in. If you do the constitution piece, the crust, if you get that worked out, it makes every other decision easier and more likely to be successful.
And so what does a firm need to do initially? Like, what are the questions they need to be asking to know what their value proposition is and what their, in your terms, the constitution is for their firm?
Sure. It took us a long time, and it took several years. So when I first opened up, we were a low-cost, limited scope firm, all pay-as-you-go, all for the purpose of increasing access to justice. As time went on, that changed, but I didn't take the time to really figure out how to articulate our new mission and vision, and things just started to crumble. And it took about a year of really working in order to figure out, okay, who are we now? Who am I to my core? What is it that is fundamentally true about me day in and day out that can never change, that must be built into this law firm? And so it's really the process of self-exploration and then bringing your team along, which is true leadership.
So for you, when you went through that process, what were the things that you found about yourself that were immutable, that were then going to be applied to this constitution for your firm?
So the way that it worked for me was I took the culture presentation that I heard from Jules Miller at Clio back to my team. And in it, she described like the difference between Facebook and Apple and Google. So these are all three giants, all in the same area, but they had such very different core functions and core constitutions. So I took that back to my team. We did a retreat. My team told me what they valued, and I wrote it down on sticky notes, and we had like 100 of these things that they valued, and then I took it home and I put it on my office wall and lived with it and just tried to distill everything that I had in me and everything that was important to them, and it's into three values: whole health, growth, and then an acronym, COBE: creativity, optimism, bravery, and empathy. And then we took these three values and we wrote down, what is the contract between me and my employees? So how am I committed to providing growth and whole health and COBE to them, to my employees? And then how do we as a company provide those things to clients? And so it's almost like a three-way contract, where it's a contract between my employees and me, the company, and then us and clients. And together we can all really kind of hold each other accountable and prop each other up.
Are there resources for folks that are interested in going through a similar process for their firms?
Mine was really kind of made up and ad hoc, but I think Traction is probably the very best business book that I've ever read, and it does provide a lot of great insight on company infrastructure.
Okay. Well, before we head off, what is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
I'm on Twitter at MyModernLaw. I'm online at modernlawpractice.com and mymodernlaw.com. And really, I'm pretty easy to find.
Sounds good. Well, we've reached the end of the road for today's episode. I want to thank our guest, Billie, again for taking her time to be with us today. And we want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please rate us on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with Legal Talk Network.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.